So here's our first sample question that comes from section 3.3. It's number 8. You can see it says find the slope. So remember, to find the slope, given two ordered pairs, we're going to have to first make sure you know which values are your x values and which ones your y values. So let's label that. You know that each ordered pair has an x and a y. Okay, so make sure you know that the -10 has to be an x, the -1 has to be a y. Over here, 4 is an x, and this 1 is a y. The second step is, remember, you either memorize the book formula, y2 minus y1, or just remember that it's going to be your changes in y's, doesn't matter what direction, over your changes in x, as long as you keep that same direction. Okay? So if you use this one or this one, your next step is to use the bare bones formula. You want to use these parentheses because if you're working with a lot of negatives, they're easy to get lost. If you had nothing but negative, negative, subtraction, negative, it's very hard to lose a negative sign. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to write out my bare bones formula, saying that m equals fraction bar, parentheses, minus another set of parentheses on top. Remember, this is going to be our change in y's. And at the bottom, it's our changes in x's. Now that you have the bare bones formula, if you want to do what the book does, and I'll do this problem two different ways. I'll do it what the book says. The book says take your y from your second. So y2, your second y, minus your first y. Then your x from the second group, x2, minus the x from your first group. Once you plug them in, then all you're going to do is simplify. You remember the simplifying step. Remember, I have an equal sign. Simplifying was distribute to get rid of parentheses, then collect any like terms. So we're going to distribute to get rid of these parentheses. So 1 times 1, positive 1 on top. -1 times -1, it's going to be a positive 1. Remember, two negatives. Negative times negative. Tic-tac-toe board says you're going to get a positive. Down here, 1 times 4, it's going to be a positive 4. And then -1 times -10, negative times negative, get a positive. Now that you have this, you can simplify. 1 and 1. Two positives, remember, same labels, add. We get 2. At the bottom, 4 and 10, again, two positives, add. You get 14. Now notice 2 divided by 14 doesn't go in evenly. So we're going to have a fraction. But you're going to have a reduced fraction. Remember, when you reduce a fraction, you try to see if you can break down the top into prime factorization. 2, it's a prime number, so you can't break it down any further. But 14, you can break it down as 2 items. 2 times 7. You know, if you have a 2 on top and a 2 on the bottom, same thing on top and the same thing on the bottom, you can cancel 1 for 1. Now notice you have a 7 left at the bottom, and what's left on top? If you don't see anything left on top, there's always an understood 1. Because if you don't put that 1 there, it looks like m equals 7, and it's not. It has to stay a fraction. So our final answer is m equals 1/7. Now I did what the book wanted you to do, was to take y2 minus y1, and you had to remember that direction. I'm telling you, you don't have to do it that way. So I'm going to just erase this a little bit, just so that I can have some space. I'm going to use my bare bones formula again on this side. Now for me, I just have to say, hey, just like how I read, start over here from our left, work your way to the right, and see that I start as a -1, and I changed and ended up as a +1. So start, end. I do the same thing for my x's, go in the same direction. Start, end. So -10 and a +4. Distribute to simplify, just like we were doing. Now some people might argue, going like, well, wait, you have a -1 here and a -1 here. Here you have +1s. You'll see, it'll still give you the same answer. And then here, this would be a -10, and here, you get a -4. So -1 and a -1, you know that two of the same labels add. And who wins the tug of war? It's a tie. So we're going to have it as -2. Here, -10 and a -4. Same negatives, so you add. Who wins the tug of war? 10 players. So team negative. Just like we would have done here, we would reduce. But negative divided by negative, a negative number divided by a negative number, you know, they can cancel out to be a positive. And 2 over 14 will also reduce down to 1/7. So no matter if you did y2 minus y1, or if you did the change in y over the change in x, both of them give you the same m equals +1/7. M equals +1/7. So it doesn't matter if you go this direction or this direction, as long as if you do x in one direction, you have to do y the same direction. That's it.